Today on the newscast, we are in southern Israel for an up-close look at Iron Dome. That's coming up. Hey folks, Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast from an undisclosed location in southern Israel, not far from the Gaza border, where about 3 weeks ago things were aflame as Israel and Hamas went to war once again. Now, you may see a familiar sight over my shoulder right now. Yes, that is the Iron Dome missile defense system, an incredible wonder of Israeli technology. We're going to get into it, what it's all about, how Iron Dome is used in a minute. The Israel Defense Forces are here as well. We have, once again here on the Watchman, incredible exclusive access. Now, if you've missed us this week, on Tuesday, we did an incredible newscast with our good friend Danny the Digger Herman about the true history of the Temple Mount. Just check it out here in our archives on the newscast. While you're there, subscribe, of course. But yesterday also, we were on the Lebanon border, literally the other side of the country, basically. Today, we're talking a little bit of Hamas and Gaza, Islamic Jihad. Yesterday, we were talking about the Hezbollah threat on the Israel-Lebanon border with an incredible overlook of southern Lebanon, Hezbollah country. We also went inside some Hezbollah terror tunnels. Check it out in our archives if you missed it. But let's bring it up to today. Iron Dome. What you are looking at right now is a modern wonder, just an incredible touchstone for Israeli innovation. The Iron Dome missile defense system in the recent conflict with Hamas and Islamic Jihad out of Gaza shot down some 90% of all incoming Hamas rockets. What an incredible success rate. Now, Iron Dome first went operational in 2011. It was in the works, in the making, in development for several years. Again, Israeli innovation, which we know very well here on the Watchman Newscast. We talk about it often. But another important link for me as an American, American funding heavily involved in building the Iron Dome missile defense system. Now, right now in Congress, it's being discussed that the U.S. fund Iron Dome even more. Some Democrats have been in opposition to that, sadly, in the wake of the recent war, but it looks like funding will go through for more Iron Dome missile defense batteries, and Israel needs more. We're going to talk about it in a minute. But 2011 went operational, and it has been really a marvel to the world. The world has been in awe of the success rate of Iron Dome over the past several years. That 90% rate in the latest round of hostilities. In 2014 really was the big coming out, I would say, in many ways, for Iron Dome. Just flustered Hamas at every turn. So a highly, highly effective missile defense system, part of a multi-tiered defense system for the Israel Defense Forces. You have Iron Dome, which focuses mainly on short-range and middle-range rockets and missiles. You also have David Sling and the Arrow missile defense system as well. So Israel can shoot down the short-range rockets out of Gaza, even ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles. That is the ultimate goal of this multi-tiered missile defense system, which back in December, the IDF did a huge military drill, putting all of these missile defense systems into operation. This is really the first line of defense now, in many ways, for the nation of Israel, this massive missile defense network that stretches throughout the country, and yet it's not enough. Iron Dome is very expensive, as you might imagine. That's why the U.S. is getting involved with funding. Now, if you think the U.S.-Israel relationship is just a one-way street with America helping Israel and not the other way around, think again. Clearly, this Iron Dome missile technology, anti-missile technology, can protect Americans in Iraq and elsewhere in the region. Not only that, Israeli intelligence, you may not know this, but it is a fact, has helped break up several terror plots, literally countless terror plots, against American interests around the world over the past several years. Folks, that is a fact that needs to be known. But let's bring it back to Iron Dome. Obviously, as we wrap up here, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, the Iranian proxies operating in Gaza, tier one of the threat. But as we've told you here in the newscast, the ring of fire that literally encircles Israel right now, let's recap. And it's, by the way, the head of the snake in Tehran is employing these various proxies inside this ring of fire. Don't forget, the head of the snake resides in Tehran, not the Iranian people, the Iranian regime. That is the ultimate problem here. But Hamas and Islamic Jihad in Gaza. We have the Houthis in Yemen, further to the south, about 1,000 miles from here, but it is to the point that one of these Iron Dome batteries back in January was moved to the southernmost Israeli city of Eilat to protect against a potential threat from the Houthis in Yemen, another Iranian proxy armed, you guessed it, with drones and missiles provided by the Iranian regime. Take it to the north, of course, Hezbollah, the most lethal Iranian proxy. We were just there yesterday on the Lebanon border, armed to the teeth with well over 150,000 rockets and missiles aimed at every inch of Israel. Take it to Iraq, Syria, Iranian-backed Shia militias also armed with drones and missiles. We call it the Ring of Fire for a reason. One section of that ring was activated during the recent Hamas war against Israel, but I said it before and I'll say it again, folks. It was a dry run of sorts, I'm sad to say. Iran activated Hamas, Islamic Jihad, but held Hezbollah in reserve. Yet Hezbollah, the Houthis, the Shia militias, they're all making noise about targeting Israel, and specifically, they are obsessed with Jerusalem, which we discussed 2 days ago here on the newscast. But thank God for Iron Dome. It is obviously a great asset for Israel, for the world. It's also an asset for the Palestinian people, because many times when we talk about civilian casualties, hundreds, some 600 of those Hamas and Islamic Jihad rockets that were fired last month, they did not reach their intended target. As a matter of fact, they fell inside Gaza and killed Palestinian civilians. So Hamas is committing a double war crime, intentionally targeting Israeli civilians and also killing Palestinian civilians with their massive rocket and missile arsenal. Again, thank God for Iron Dome. It's a great thing. And Israel also has the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He is the ultimate Iron Dome. So this nation, despite the threats, despite the Ring of Fire, will be just fine. And in my travels throughout the country this week, I have seen the people of Israel, number one, live. They are resilient. They are strong. Israel will be just fine. So don't fret, don't worry, don't get discouraged, be encouraged. Israel is doing good. This nation is thriving. They are not down. They are not out. They're on the rise, if anything. Now, Iron Dome today. Tomorrow, we were actually in Ashkelon today, but we will have it on tomorrow's newscast, and we will get an up-close look at the destruction caused by these Hamas rockets. Folks, you will not want to miss this. The human impact of this Hamas terror war on the communities, not only in southern Israel, but beyond, even to Tel Aviv and points beyond now, but in particular tomorrow in Ashkelon, about 8 miles north of here, the Gaza border, we will meet a man whose house was quite literally demolished by a Hamas rocket. You won't want to miss this. You need to know the human impact of what the people here are facing on a daily basis until tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining us for this exclusive, rare, up-close look at Iron Dome. Until tomorrow, God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see more, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, click subscribe, and tap the bell icon to turn on notifications for new Watchman Newscast episodes every weekday.